Lloyd is the dumbest spy in the town, a bargain bin Sherlock Holmes who couldn't guard his own ass if it came with a manual. And now this lonely, undercover loser decides he needs a daughter, because espionage and parenting go hand in hand. Then comes Anya, a kid so dumb even the orphanage plays hot potato with her. She's been returned more times than a bad Amazon order, and now she's Lloyd's problem. After a Westphalian diplomat's suspicious death in Ostania, intelligence suspected assassination by the East's far-right party. They assigned their best agent for the job, and it was Twilight. Disguised by this, Twilight tricked an investigator into handing over photos of a minister's toupee. The real recipient, Edgar, arrived too late. Twilight posing as Robert, dying the Karen that evening who mentioned her father's anger over the stolen photos. When she brought up marriage, he broke up with her, discarding his disguise and hope for a normal life. Twilight exchanged newspapers with an informant at a train station. Aboard a train to Berlin, he deciphered Wise's message. Operation Strix. To investigate Donovan Desmond, a threat to peace. He had to marry and enroll a child in Desmond's son's elite school. With only a week, he accepted. In Berlin, Twilight bought an apartment as Lloyd Forger, ensuring it was secure. At an orphanage, Lloyd sought a literate child. The owner was eager to offload Anya, so he presented her as the smartest. She claimed to be 6, and Lloyd, impressed by her crossword skills, quickly adopted her. Unbeknownst to him that the girl was a telepath excited to live with a spy. At home, Lloyd told her to call him father. While watching Spy Wars, she insisted on joining him outside. Lost in a crowd, a woman advised Lloyd to hold her hand. He worried it would slow him, while Anya, reading his mind, panicked and hid. Lloyd realized he needed to understand her. Anya showed her love for peanuts, misidentified a bakery, and underpaid for a Spy Wars poster. Doubting her intelligence, he considered replacing her. To herself, she cried her heart out, begging to stay so he watered peanuts. Later, she fell asleep, leaving Lloyd stumped. He headed to the library for parenting books. Lloyd tested Anya's intelligence, but she refused to study. Frustrated at her, he locked her inside after catching her when she was trying to follow him. He met informant Frankie, who provided an exam ticket, application, and Anya's records. It turned out that she had been adopted and returned 4 times a year. Meanwhile, bored inside, Anya played with Lloyd's spy gear, accidentally transmitting a message to Edgar, mocking him as Twilight. Realizing her mistake, she cleaned up, fearing that nothing can save her from being sent back. She recalled her past in a lab where she had been forced to train her telepathy and hide her powers. Lloyd returned to signs of forced entry. Ambushed, he fought off attackers but realized Anya had been kidnapped. Edgar planned to use her to blackmail Twilight. However, the Twilight they captured was Edgar's man. Lloyd had already escaped with Anya. While running, Lloyd regretted endangering her. Anya cried, triggering his childhood memories of helplessness. Outside, he told her they were playing tag and gave her a note for the police. He refused to see himself as a failure but regretted forgetting why he had become a spy, to create a world where children didn't cry. Lloyd eliminated Edgar's men and threatened Edgar with his daughter's safety, forcing him to back off. Outside, Anya pretended she had just been playing tag, but admitted she had been scared. Lloyd took her home, claiming they had to move due to a snake in their apartment. He told her to memorize answers for the exam. Anya read panicked students' minds during the test, but recalled Lloyd's lessons and passed. Overjoyed by her result, Lloyd collapsed. At home, Lloyd was sleeping and Anya showed up giving him a letter, revealing the next step, a family interview requiring both parents. They realized their problem, that their family was incomplete and needed a mother. Needing a wife for his Eden Academy interview, Lloyd had dressed Frankie as a woman, but both he and Anya disliked the result. Frankie complained about the makeup, but Lloyd insisted it was the best he could do. Realizing he needed to find a wife, Lloyd recalled the goal of Operation Strix. At Berlin City Hall, Camilla gossiped about a thief who had only searched drawers for information on girls, while Millie found the section chief creepy for ogling her. Meanwhile, Sharon joked that it was because of her short skirts, but Millie clarified that it was for her boyfriend. They noticed you were making coffee and joked about adding boogers, but she wondered if it would improve the taste. They also noted that she could be attractive with better clothes and makeup. Yuri declined Camilla's party invitation, insisting she was happy with her work. Her coworkers, who were unaware of her true profession, mocked her for being single at 27, a common societal pressure in their world. Later, Yor called Yuri, who worried about her marriage prospects. Panicking by the situation building, she lied about having a date for the party. When Yuri offered to investigate, she feared losing his trust. Before she could confess, her employer assigned her an assassination at the Royal Hotel. After killing Vice Minister Brennan, she ruined her only good dress. The next day, Frankie gave Lloyd files on single women, a perfect match for a quick marriage. Anya was looking worried, but he reassured her and bought new clothes. At the tailor, Yor passed by with her ruined dress. Lloyd admired her beauty. Needing a partner, Yor considered asking Lloyd out, but hesitated when she saw he had a child. Anya learned that Yor was an assassin and Lloyd was a spy. They both considered each other as potential partners, but decided against it. Anya pretended to be lonely, prompting Yor to ask Lloyd about his wife. Lloyd explained that his wife had died 2 years ago, and Yor asked him to be her partner for the party. Lloyd agreed on the condition that she pretended to be his wife during Anya's school interview. Lloyd's mission to retrieve stolen art and eliminate a smuggling ring clashed with the party. He took Frankie along to finish it quickly, and after retrieving the items, they were attacked. They escaped, but reinforcements caused their vehicle to crash. While waiting for Lloyd, Yuri attended the party alone. Her co-workers gossiped and Dominic apologized for not meeting Lloyd. Camilla insisted on telling Yuri that Yuri had come alone. Feeling out of place, Yuri decided to leave, but just then, a bloodied Lloyd arrived and introduced himself as her husband, accidentally mixing up their missions. He claimed to be a psychiatrist dealing with a violent patient. Camilla was surprised and asked why Yuri had never mentioned him. Lloyd explained that it was his second marriage and that he had a child from his first. Camilla tried to embarrass Yuri by throwing a gratin at her, but Yuri caught it with her feet. Lloyd admired her reflexes but advised against drawing attention. Camilla then tried to reveal Yuri's past work, but Lloyd interrupted, praising her dedication to her brother. After leaving the party, they were attacked and Lloyd suspected a tracking device. They ran off quickly, with Lloyd knocking out their pursuers. Yuri surprised Lloyd with her self-defense skills, which she had learned from her brother. As they ran, Yuri jokingly suggested they get married, shocking Lloyd. Yuri's proposal caught Lloyd off guard, but he quickly agreed. As he searched for his lost ring, they were attacked again. Lloyd threw a grenade at the assailants, using its pin as a makeshift ring to propose. Yuri accepted. Yuri moved her to Lloyd's house, which had separate rooms but shared one for guests. Anya was excited to have a mother and eagerly helped unpack. Lloyd mentioned that they had a forged marriage certificate from a year ago and needed to explain why they had lived separately and what to tell Yuri's brother. Anya showed Yuri around and Lloyd asked if she liked the room. Yuri approved, though Anya took credit for cleaning, which Lloyd quickly corrected. After unpacking, Lloyd noticed a picture of Yuri and her brother and planned to meet him after Anya's exam. Yuri worried about the interview, but Lloyd suggested visiting a tailor. Meanwhile, Anya attempted to carry a box but was shocked when she realized it contained weapons and read Yuri's mind. Later, Lloyd baked cookies while Yuri prepared coffee. Anya claimed to have helped, but Lloyd pointed out that she had only managed to get covered in flour. They practiced for the Eden Academy interview where Anya consistently gave wrong answers. Lloyd suggested she learn more about upper-class norms. The family headed out together. Anya wanted to hold hands with Yuri, who agreed. However, when Anya overheard Yuri's thoughts about injuring her brother, she ran off. They visited the opera and an art museum but remained unimpressed. Anya drew a picture of her family, feeling relieved when Lloyd assumed it was related to spy work. At the tailor's shop, the tailor suggested a blue dress for Yuri. Lloyd proposed telling the tailor they were married, and afterwards, they took a family picture. During a rally, Anya became overwhelmed, so they decided to leave. At a restaurant, Anya ate nuts with her hands, while Yuri became fascinated by a knife. Lloyd began to doubt the success of his mission. To lighten the mood, Yuri took them to a park where they witnessed a robbery. Yuri chased after the thief, but ultimately lost him. Anya, after reading the thoughts of those around her, fell sick. While Lloyd tended to Anya, she suddenly spotted the thief and pointed him out. Lloyd observed that despite changing clothes, the thief's walk remained the same. Yuri joined him and together they captured the thief, retrieved the stolen purse, and urged the crowd to call the police. The forgers returned the purse to its owner and escorted her to the hospital. The woman thanked them, explaining that the money inside was meant to buy a gift for her grandchild. Yuri credited Lloyd for the success, and though Lloyd tried to hide his happiness, Anya noticed. She then embarrassed them by loudly declaring that they were flirting. The older woman smiled and called them a good family. Back home, Lloyd retried the interview, achieving better results, until Anya mentioned him jumping on the thief. She then called him cool, and to his embarrassment, Yuri agreed. As he watched the two bond, Lloyd felt a sense of progress in their little family. Lloyd and his family arrived at Eden Academy, sensing they were being watched. Lloyd quickly realized that the exam had already started and told Yuri and Anya to behave accordingly. Housemaster Henry Henderson expressed disappointment in the families, but found the forgers' respectful behavior at the statue elegant. The instructors revealed that Anya had barely passed with 31 points. Henry wondered if their marriage was only for admission and decided to investigate further. The forgers arrived at Hall 1 and found the students stuck in a gutter, part of a test for extra merits. Lloyd and Anya helped getting dirty. Henry ordered failure, but the forgers had spare clothes. Lloyd thanked the boy, impressing Henry, who revealed Lloyd's score of 30 points. An alarm rang about escaped animals. A parent abandoned their child, but Lloyd saved them. He spotted the cow leading the stampede, but Yuri calmed the herd and Anya petted it. Henry delayed the interview for the forgers to change. Lloyd revealed they had extra clothes, surprising Henry. During the interview, Lloyd praised their marriage. Murdoch asked why Yuri married Lloyd, but Henry rebuked him. Lloyd avoided aggravating Murdoch. Walter asked about Eden Academy. Lloyd praised it, calling Anya curious and intelligent. Yuri admitted spoiling Anya, but wanted to be stricter. Lloyd cooked while Yuri helped. Murdoch criticized Yuri and Lloyd defended her. Walter asked Anya what she planned to do. Reading Lloyd's mind, Anya said she wanted to learn about the boss of the organization, impressing Henry. She named the headmaster and shared spy cartoon training. When asked about Lloyd's job, Anya almost revealed he was a spy but corrected herself. Murdoch pressed Anya to compare Yuri to her birth mother, causing Anya to cry. Murdoch mocked her, injuring Yuri, and Lloyd nearly punched him. Lloyd punched the table instead, apologizing and claiming a mosquito was to blame. He then said they'd chosen the wrong school if mocking a child's feelings was Eden Academy's way. Murdoch yelled in anger, but Henry swiftly knocked him out cold. At home, the forgers worried about being rejected. Lloyd regretted letting his emotions affect the mission. Anya apologized, but Lloyd reassured her that everything would be fine. fine. Anya says she wanted to go attend school and believed that Walter and Henry would help them. Lloyd decided to trust them and they toasted to their future. As they did, their family photo fell, signaling bad luck. At Y's HQ, Twilight's chief wasn't concerned about the results at Eden Academy, confident that Twilight would succeed. Meanwhile, the forgers discovered that Anya's name wasn't on the list and headed home feeling defeated. Henry showed them the waiting list with Anya at the top, explaining that she'd get in if anyone withdrew. Lloyd was surprised, but Henry credited Lloyd's actions with Murdoch for boosting their points. Yuri briefly considered eliminating another applicant, but decided against it. Henry warned them to wait for a call, as his future was uncertain. 3 days later, Lloyd received the call and announced Anya's acceptance. They celebrated, and drunk Frankie revealed that he had sold Lloyd the test answers, though Yuri didn't hear. He promised Anya anything she wanted as a reward. Anya asked for an adventure, showing Lloyd a Spy Wars scene in which he saved her from a castle. Lloyd refused, but Frankie convinced him. They flew to the castle where Anya quickly got bored. Lloyd contacted Wise for agents and they arrived, excited to meet Twilight. Lloyd secretly signaled them about Operation Strix. Frankie and Anya assigned roles, Anya as the princess, Lloyd as Lloydman, and Frankie as Count Scruffy Head. Frankie told the agents to oppose Lloydman. Frankie kidnapped Anya and challenged Lloyd with a quiz in the play. If Lloyd answered incorrectly, he would have to wear a Bondman costume. Anya's favorite thing about Bondman was his silenced pistol, not his face. Lloyd answered 2 out of 3 questions wrong, so he wore the costume. Lloyd navigated through a room of large balls and agents, eventually reaching a tower. After defeating agents with guns, he's applying to Anya's location. Frankie introduced Yor as Yorticia, a witch who attacked Lloyd, but she fell asleep after breaking her shoe. Lloyd defeated Frankie as the final boss. Anya was happy and the agents celebrated her admission to the school. Lloyd and Anya watched fireworks together and Anya promised to do her best at school. The next day, Wise received an invoice for the event's high expenses. The forgers visited the tailor for Anya's school uniform. Lloyd suggested making it a bit larger since Anya had grown. The tailor was surprised that Yor was married and warned Lloyd about the divide at Eden Academy. She also mentioned an increase in kidnappings and wealthy kids, which scared Anya. The tailor reassured her and Lloyd suggested they eat out. Lloyd received a secret message at the restaurant about a 5-day briefing at Safe House D. 5 days later, Lloyd learned Anya's uniform was ready but asked Yor to pick it up while he attended the briefing. At Safe House D, Sylvia Sherwood scolded Lloyd for his expenses. He handed her more invoices, claiming that school was costly. Sylvia briefed him on Eden Academy's 2,500 students and its curriculum. Top students, the Imperial Scholars, earned Stella merits, while bad grades resulted in Tonitrus bolts, and 8 demerits led to expulsion. Yor and Anya picked up Anya's uniform and she loved it. Anya showed it off at the park and Yor wished she could be more of a mother. They went to the supermarket since Lloyd would be late. Thugs tried to extort them, but Yor fought them off, breaking a pumpkin with her bare hands. Anya asked Yor to train her for the dangers at Eden Academy, and they began training once Lloyd returned. At Eden's ceremony, Lloyd was happy but gave up on making Anya an Imperial Scholar. He had arranged for her to be placed in Damien Desmond's class instead. Lloyd planned to use the friendship scheme if the Imperial Scholar goal failed, hoping Anya could befriend Damien and get closer to Donovan. Anya stared at Damien, making him think she liked him. She moved on and Becky greeted her. Damien talked about his father, disappointed when Anya said her dad was a feelings doctor. Anya asked if she could play at his house, but his friends called her a peasant. She smirked, annoying Damien, and Becky complimented her maturity. During the tour, Damien threw a paper ball at Anya and pretended it wasn't him. After he teased her, Anya punched him into a trash bin and he cried. Henry arrived and Anya lied, claiming Damien had run into her hand. Damien's friends exposed her lie. Becky explained the bullying and Anya recalled Yor's advice to protect her friends. She then lied again, saying Damien had stepped on her foot. Becky thanked her, moved by Anya's defense. Henry acknowledged her actions but still criticized her violence. At the parents' gathering, Lloyd learned about Anya's punch. He was shocked and dismayed that both plans were failing. The forgers' faces showed distress during the photo. During breakfast, Lloyd reflected on Anya's admission to Eden Academy. Despite her punching Damien, he remained determined. Yor and Anya joined him, feeling guilty, but Lloyd lifted their spirits. He sent Anya off to school, urging her to apologize to Damien. When she arrived by car at Eden, Anya noticed Becky's wealth. Damien appeared and Anya apologized, but Becky quickly dragged her to class. Meanwhile, Lloyd sneaked into Eden, annoyed by Becky's interference. In class, students avoided Anya, while Damien was intrigued. No one had ever defied him. Anya slept through math, and the intimidated teacher called her a delinquent. Becky woke her up for science, but Damien was gone. Anya vowed to apologize, believing that peace depended on it. Becky misinterpreted this and promised to protect her. Anya sensed Lloyd, disguised as a janitor, nearby. During science class, he signaled her to apologize using a mirror. In language class, while others read about a character refusing to apologize, Anya's book was altered to show the character making amends. At lunch, Anya saw sorry spelled out in bushes and on a student. student. Her omelet rice had sorry written in ketchup. She tried to apologize to Damien, but Becky stopped her. Still in disguise, Lloyd called Becky away, allowing Anya to approach Damien. Damien felt awkward and unable to speak. His friends came up with insults which Anya overheard, making her cry and apologize. Moved, Damien blushed, claimed he was angry, and ran off, vowing never to forgive her. Lloyd lamented Plan B's failure. Lloyd gave Anya a math problem at home, threatening to withhold her favorite show if she failed. Anya tried reading his mind but got overwhelmed. Yor confused her with a gruesome analogy. Frustrated, Anya stormed off, refusing to study. Yor questioned if Anya even wanted to be an imperial scholar. Lloyd agreed, realizing she was too young to stress over grades. They made hot cocoa, but Anya stayed in her room, remembering her promise to Lloyd. Lloyd and Yor discussed her brother Yuri. Lloyd assumed Yuri excelled academically, but Yor revealed he often taught her instead, thriving on her praise. Lloyd considered using a similar approach to Anya. Yor reassured him that Anya saw him as a great father. Lloyd thanked Yor and asked for her help with Anya's homework. Deciding to slow down, Lloyd focused on understanding Anya better. He apologized and told her she could watch her spy show. Finding her asleep over her textbooks, he was moved and tucked her in, recording the show for her. As he left, he reflected on the idea of a real family. Dominic revealed Yor's marriage to Yuri, leaving him shocked. At Eden Academy, Anya's incorrect math answer stunned her classmates. Elsewhere, Lloyd met with Sylvia, who questioned whether Anya could achieve 8 Stella Stars in 4 months. Despite Lloyd's assurance, Sylvia warned him about an arrested informant and advised caution. At Berlin City Hall, Yor's colleagues discussed Jim Hayward's arrest for espionage. The conversation shifted to Yor's brother, Yuri, whom she hadn't told about her marriage. Her coworkers found Yuri cute from his photo, but noted his overprotective nature. At XSS headquarters, Yuri took over Jim's interrogation. A lieutenant revealed that Yuri was hired because the boss found him cute like a puppy, though Yuri could be ruthless when necessary. When Jim offered information on Twilight, Yuri warned him against lies, violently asserting his loyalty to family and country. Anya watched Spy Wars at home, while Lloyd wished she focused more on studying. Yor arrived, worried about Yuri's impending visit, to congratulate her on her marriage. Lloyd suggested decorating the house to maintain their cover. Anya teased them before falling asleep on Lloyd. Yuri arrived with roses, wondering why Yor had hidden her marriage for a year and suspecting she had married someone unworthy. He vowed to protect Yor while hiding his SSS job. Meanwhile, Lloyd and Yor prepared nervously, fearing their secrets might be exposed. When Yuri questioned why Yor had kept her marriage secret, she said she had forgotten to tell him. Though confused, Yuri accepted this explanation, losing all reason regarding his sister. Lloyd served an impressive dinner, but Yuri vowed not to be won over and brought wine to get Lloyd drunk and expose him. Lloyd warned Yor not to drink, recalling their castle incident. The conversation turned into an interrogation as Yuri asked specific questions about their relationship. When asked what they called each other, the couple's simple answers disappointed Yuri, who began drinking heavily. During their conversation, Lloyd recognized Yuri's story as coming from an Austanian intelligence manual, deducing he worked for the SSS, Wise's enemy. Despite this, Lloyd saw value in maintaining a relationship with Yuri as a potential intelligence source. Yuri recalled their childhood as orphans when Yor would return home bloody with gifts, unaware she was an assassin. He questioned whether Lloyd could protect Yor better than he could. Lloyd declared that his love for Yor equaled Yuri's, vowing to protect her from danger. Unconvinced, Yuri demanded they prove their love by kissing. Though Yor hesitated, Lloyd agreed, treating it as part of the mission. Yor, unprepared for her first kiss, blushed as Lloyd moved closer. Panicked by Lloyd's attempt at a kiss, Yor quickly downed wine. Yuri questioned their marriage, but Yor silenced him with a forked throat before finally kissing Lloyd. Remembering her promise about the marriage, Yuri intervened but got slapped when Yor missed Lloyd entirely. Bloody and confused, Yuri temporarily conceded but was hit again. Lloyd steadied the drunken siblings and complimented their bond. Despite recognizing Lloyd's goodness, Yuri vowed to expose the fake marriage and threatened consequences before leaving. Afterwards, Lloyd checked for listening devices but found none. Yor thanked him for his help, and Lloyd admitted that he invited their bond as a family. Relieved that their secret remained safe, they agreed to sleep separately. While others slept, Lloyd read, deep in thought about his envy. The following day, an injured Yuri alarmed strangers. Anya mistook a plant for Lloyd and learned that her uncle Yuri was part of the secret police. She protested, missing him. Lloyd, worried about the SS connection, found Yor unsuspicious. Anya nearly revealed something, but instead criticized Yor's cooking. Lloyd secretly planted a bug on Yor, who misread the touch as romantic. Anya urged her parents to get along before boarding the bus, and Lloyd, noting the children's intuition, suggested they depart. At XSS headquarters, the lieutenant questioned Yuri's injuries from his sister's visit. Yuri blamed Lloyd, claiming he didn't deserve Yor. Though he admitted that Lloyd seemed kind, Yuri suspected him of being a spy who needed to be imprisoned but lacked proof. He regretted not planting bugs. The lieutenant suggested that Yuri's self-inflicted wounds showed an unhealthy fixation on his sister and urged him to focus on catching Western spies, especially Twilight. Yuri reluctantly agreed unless Lloyd hurt Yor. At City Hall, Yor cried while typing, calling herself a failure as a wife. Her coworkers noticed her asking for advice from her wife due to her inexperience. Lloyd, eavesdropping from the roof, confirmed she had never dated before and questioned if her efforts were genuine or deceptive. Camilla criticized her husband while Millie suggested separation. The section chief interrupted, sending Yor to mail a letter. Lloyd decided a hands-on investigation was necessary. Seeing the joint bank account sign, Yor wondered if her assassin earnings could help Lloyd. Disguised, Lloyd and a reluctant Frankie intercepted her as the secret police, accusing her of sending coded messages. They intimidated her with stories of torture, mentioning SS connections that could help suspects. Lloyd hoped that if she were innocent, she'd mention Yuri. Yor, however, proudly proclaimed her patriotism, and when Frankie approached her, she threw him down, warning him not to touch a married woman. When threatened with family consequences, she promised no mercy if they harmed Lloyd or Yuri. At SS headquarters, the lieutenant questioned Yuri about his injuries. Yuri suspected Lloyd was a spy despite seeming kind. At City Hall, Yor sought their wife's advice while Lloyd continued eavesdropping, confirming her inexperience. Yor noticed the joint bank account and wondered if her assassin earnings might help Lloyd. Disguised as police, Lloyd and Frankie interrogated Yor about sending coded messages. She defended herself violently when Frankie approached. Recognizing her innocence, Lloyd ended the charade. Later, Lloyd removed the bug he had planted, encouraging Yor to be herself. She thanked him for marrying her. They celebrated with cake as Anya returned home, pleased to see her parents getting along. At 5:34 a.m., Henry Henderson began his morning routine at Eden Academy, jogging before heading to Cecile Hall for a shower. After dressing, he made tea and shared it with the dorm tutor, discussing school traditions and how the elementary students were learning true elegance. Meanwhile, Damien solemnly examined a group photo of himself standing alone. His friends Human and Emil showed him pictures of his accomplished older brother, an Imperial scholar. They'd reassured Damien that he would achieve similar success, mentioning the upcoming dodgeball tournament where rumors suggested the MVP might earn a Stella star. Later, Henderson spotted Damien, Emil, Ewan, Anya, and Becky fighting outside, much to his disappointment. At home, Anya excitedly told Lloyd about the dodgeball game and the potential for Stella. Though Lloyd was skeptical, Yor enthusiastically trained Anya, teaching her a special killer move. On game day, Henderson announced he would oversee the match between Cecile Hall and Wald Hall. Damien threw first, targeting Bill Watkins, a muscular student who quickly caught the ball. Bill counterattacked, eliminating 4 Cecile students immediately. When Becky attempts to take Bill out, he catches her throw and eliminates her. Damien, Human, and Emil coordinated an attack, but Bill eliminated Ewan and Emil. Only Damien, Anya, and one other student remained for Cecile Hall. Bill targeted Anya next. She dodged several throws thanks to her mind-reading ability, but the unnamed student got hit. As Anya inched toward the boundary line, she tripped and fell. Bill seized the opportunity, hurling a ball and yelling, "Die!" Damien sacrificed himself, jumping between them but failing to catch the ball. Determined to avenge Damien's death, Anya attempted her killer move. However, her throw bounced weakly on the ground toward Bill, who immediately returned it, hitting and eliminating her. Bill's team celebrated, expecting him to receive a Stella star. Henderson, however, clarified that Stellas weren't awarded for PE games and threatened Bill with a tonitrus bolt for his inappropriate language. Damien confronted Anya, frustrated that his sacrifice had been wasted. As their friends joined the argument, Henderson reconsidered. Impressed by their teamwork, he contemplated that perhaps it deserved a Stella after all. Lloyd discovered that Anya had failed all of her tests. She was watching Spy Wars instead of preparing for their study session. When he caught her, she threw a tantrum and Lloyd couldn't help but imagine her becoming an Imperial scholar for his mission one day. Lloyd criticized her spelling while Yor, the optimist, called her failing grade decent. Using examples from Spy Wars for idioms, Lloyd tried to teach, but he was unaware that Anya had failed because she had read the mind of another failing student. She had planned to target smarter students next time. Lloyd considered altering her records, but worried that it would only raise suspicion without real improvement. As he read his thoughts, Anya grew somber, reflecting on her actions and her feelings of guilt about cheating. Lloyd attempted to engage Anya with drawing, music, and sports, but she failed. Reminded that Y is required 8 Stella stars in 4 months, Lloyd watched in frustration as Anya tangled herself in Yor's jump rope. Anya promised to put in more effort, and Lloyd suggested they go out the next day to try something new. The following day, they went to a hospital to perform service in exchange for a Stella star. Anya broke flower pots, mishandled library duties, and disrupted surgery, which led to a nurse dismissing them. As they were leaving, a patient named Ken fell into the pool unnoticed. Anya, hearing his telepathic cry for help, concealed her powers. She rushed to the pool, saw his bubbles, and jumped in despite not knowing how to swim. Lloyd rescued both children and explained that drowning children make little noise as everyone praised Anya's sharp attention. Anya earned a Stella star for saving Ken, and while Becky congratulated her, Damien scoffed. Ken's family visited to thank her, and Lloyd and Yor proudly supported supported her. Anya realized her powers could help others and asked Lloyd to cook instead of your special dinner. Lloyd met with Sylvia to discuss Anya's achievement. She suggested using agents to earn more stars, but Lloyd refused due to risks. Sylvia urged faster progress with Donovan Desmond's finances. At school, Anya wore her Stella, calling herself Starlight Anya. Damien warned her not to get arrogant, then defended her when classmates criticized her. Anya asked for a dog after hearing about Damien's pet Max, imagining it leading to peace. Lloyd agreed to go shopping, despite Yuri's warnings. Meanwhile, the group planned to sell dogs as weapons. One ailing dog stood up after envisioning the Forger family. Lloyd bought a drink at a Subway store where a wise contact handed him a new mission. She wondered aloud if they would ever be unnecessary. Lloyd quickly completed his task and met with another wise agent, confirming Operation Strix was progressing smoothly with a secured wife and child. He mentioned quitting smoking for his child's sake. At home, Yuri suggested eating out since Lloyd would be late. Anya, using her telepathy, knew he was taking down an arms dealer. Yuri, uneasy about the blood on her hands from the previous day, felt disturbed, which frightened Anya. Lloyd overheard neighbors gossiping about his late returns, speculating about an affair or unemployment. To avoid suspicion, he planned a weekend family outing. Spotting Anya's penguin drawing, he suggested they visit the aquarium. Despite noticing his fatigue, Yuri insisted that normal families needed such outings and Lloyd agreed. Still exhausted that weekend, Lloyd received an urgent mission at the aquarium. Neighbors joined their outing, complicating his task of finding a capsule hidden inside one of 200 penguins. Anya read the penguins' minds and identified the target using her telepathic powers. Disguised as staff, Lloyd impressed a handler with his knowledge of penguin identification, navigated through feeding time, and took the target penguin away for treatment. Lloyd discovered an item lodged in the penguin's throat and noticed a red footprint nearby. A man with a fake Professor ID pulled a gun on him but fled after Lloyd defended himself with a bucket. Lloyd secretly followed him and Anya, seeing the terrorist preparing to alert his accomplices, grabbed him and yelled to Yuri about a kidnapping. Yuri swiftly kicked him unconscious, completing Lloyd's mission. Back at home, the neighbors continued to gossip about Lloyd's absences, suggesting infidelity. Lloyd returned with a stuffed penguin, claiming he won by repeatedly guessing names, though Anya knew it was his first try. Despite wanting a vacation, Anya's smile reminded him why he fought so hard for a tearless future. Meanwhile, the impersonated newbie received surprising news. He had been promoted to chief. Anya inducted her penguin plush into her secret agency, P2, at home. While exploring, she tried to sneak into Lloyd's room but got caught. She threatened to leave and cried. Lloyd used Penguinman to redirect her attention and Yuri joined in with a robot toy. Anya stopped crying and they embarked on a candy store rescue mission. Their playful spy game concluded with peace restored, thanks to some peanuts. That night, men loaded caged dogs into a van, declaring their preparations were complete. The following day, news broadcasts covered Westelis's Foreign Minister Brance's arrival in Ostania to arrange a summit between the two nations. Meanwhile, the Forger family ate breakfast, with Anya rushing them eagerly. She couldn't wait to claim her reward for earning a Stella Star, a dog from Kimono Park. Lloyd searched for a guard dog at the pet shop, but Anya rejected the scary-looking options. The shopkeeper suggested visiting an adoption event, and at that moment, a wise contact discreetly signaled Lloyd. Feeding stomach problems, he excused himself while Yuri and Anya proceeded to the adoption center. Lloyd soon discovered an assassination plot against Minister Brance, masterminded by Berlin University students. The plan involved using dogs with explosives. Disguised as Keith, Lloyd and Sylvia interrogated his suspect, Chris, who revealed the plot. Meanwhile, Anya followed a white dog at the adoption center after having a vision of her family. She overheard Keith's plan to start a war by assassinating Brance but was caught by Kurt. The white dog intervened, allowing Anya to escape. Wise agents raided hideouts, but there were no leads. Lloyd tracked a rental car, connecting the plot to Project Apple, a military experiment with intelligent animals. The white dog continued to help Anya, evading Keith, and Kurt and Anya realized that the dog could predict the future. Nearby, you heard Anya's distress and gave chase. Anya tried to reach the police station but got cornered by Keith and Kurt. Just as Kurt moved to kill her, Yuri arrived, assuming Anya had been abducted for forced marriage. Furious, she prepared to exact revenge on Keith. Keith was stunned after Yuri defeated Kurt and ordered the German Shepherd to kill her. The dog snarled, but Yuri did the same, scaring the dog and Anya. The dog ran off and Keith, desperate to escape, dragged the white dog with him. However, the dog refused to move and Keith kicked it before fleeing. Yuri stayed with Anya, who explained the bomb plot involving the dogs and how the white dog had saved her. After checking for explosives, Yuri reported the incident and asked Anya what she remembered. While Yuri made the call to the police, Anya read the dog's mind, seeing visions of Lloyd's death and a larger terrorist plot. Deciding she needed to save Lloyd, she kept the dog's powers a secret and rushed off, telling Yuri she needed toilet paper. Yuri finished her call and quickly gave chase. Yuri's report helped Wise capture most of the conspirators, except for Keith, who was still planning the assassination. Sylvia entered, kicked a student for advocating war, and threatened them with a gun. Meanwhile, Keith sent the bomb-laden dog after Minister Brance. With his backup plan compromised, he used the clock tower's security to trap them. Sylvia deployed Wise agents to 4 locations, with Lloyd and 2 others heading to the clock tower. Lloyd agreed with Sylvia that war should be avoided, saying he was done with it. Anya and the dog raced to the clock tower. At the tower, Anya asked a man when the bell would ring and he told her it would sound in 30 minutes. The dog detected Keith's scent and pulled Anya to hide. Keith passed by without noticing them. Keith hoped the bomb would succeed, seeing any casualties as acceptable sacrifices. Meanwhile, Anya found the bomb, climbed through a window to disarm it, and used ketchup to leave Lloyd a warning. Lloyd and the agents arrived to find the warning. The older agent dismissed it, but Lloyd stopped him and used a shard to examine the bomb. Realizing its importance, they left it to the State Security Service, who were on their way. Lloyd and the agents changed course, heading to Minister Brant's, predicting that Keith might target him next. At the hotel, Brant's complained about being watched and Wise's failures. Lloyd quickly impersonated him, taking his clothes. Disguised as Brant's, Lloyd left, splitting from the escort, shocking Yuri. Keith gave chase. Meanwhile, Brant's called Sylvia, complaining, but she explained the need to lure the enemy. Lloyd drove in circles to confuse Keith, eventually heading toward the river. Keith caught up, ramming their car and throwing a grenade. The Wise agent warned Lloyd of more explosives. Keith soon reached the abandoned car and sent the dog after Lloyd. Lloyd shot but missed as the dog moved swiftly. Lloyd used Parker to escape, impressing Keith. In an alley, Lloyd unmasked himself, aimed at the dog, and apologized for involving it. He vowed to end it all. Lloyd shot the German shepherd, knocking the bomb strap off. He quickly threw the bomb into the river, avoiding the blast, and tossed the dog into a dumpster. Realizing his plan was falling apart, Keith tried to escape. Yor spotted Keith driving away, kicked his car off the road, and knocked him unconscious. She called the police and continued searching for Anya. At Kimono Park, Lloyd, Sylvia, and the Wise agents gathered to discuss the events. Sylvia mentioned that the Ostanian government would handle the cleanup but keep the dogs. Lloyd left and ran into Anya, the white dog, and Yor. Anya explained what happened, and Lloyd scolded her, but was relieved she was safe. Lloyd recognized the dog as a Project Apple test subject, and Sylvia confirmed that they needed to take him. Anya refused to give him up, even threatening not to go to school. Sylvia, shocked by her response, eventually agreed. Lloyd was surprised, but Sylvia assured them the dog would be examined and returned if everything was fine. The following day, Anya eagerly awaited the dog's return. When the Wise agent brought him in, Anya and Yor happily welcomed him, and the dog barked joyfully, officially joining the Forger family. Anya later learned she wouldn't receive a Stella Star for her actions, as Lloyd explained they had to keep it a secret for diplomatic reasons. Undeterred, Anya decided to use the dog to get closer to Damien, hoping it would grab his attention. Anya told Becky about her new dog, hoping it would help her connect with Damien, but he showed no interest. Upset, Anya named the dog Dog, which Damien mocked, claiming she was unfit to own one. At home, Lloyd took the dog for a walk and advised Anya to care for him. At the park, Anya struggled to name the dog and asked other dog owners for suggestions. Meanwhile, Lloyd reflected on his mission, believing peace between East and West was crucial, even if it meant eventually leaving his family. As Lloyd told Anya it was time to go home, she realized her gloves were missing. The dog found them in a bulldog's mouth and intimidated the bulldog into returning them. Inspired by a Spy Wars scene, Anya named the dog Bond. She introduced Bond to her parents at home, who approved the name. Anya fed him and then took him to the litter box. Later that evening, Anya and Bond fell asleep on the floor, and Lloyd and Yor, charmed by the scene, allowed her to skip studying for the night. Lloyd grew suspicious of Yor's late arrivals. One evening, Anya asked when dinner would be, and Lloyd responded that it would be when Yor got home. When Yor finally arrived, she was injured and declined dinner. Seeing a vision of Yor crying, Anya wondered why she was upset. Yor feared that failing her mission could put her family at risk. At Berlin City Hall, Millie invited Camilla out, but Camilla declined. Later, Yor visited a house where Camilla scolded her for squashing tomatoes. Dominic greeted Yor, and Camilla blamed him for the mishap. 3 days earlier, after a disastrous breakfast, Yor had asked Camilla to teach her how to cook. Dominic had suggested that Camilla help, and though hesitant, Camilla had eventually agreed. Now, Yor eagerly prepared for a cooking lesson, while Camilla assigned Dominic to taste test for poison. Yuri entered, upset that Yor was cooking for Lloyd instead of focusing on her mission. Yor attempted to make a minestrone, but struggled, cutting herself and making a mess. Camilla criticized her, and Yuri was upset by her failure. Yor asked for help, and though reluctant, Camilla agreed. Yor's first dish turned out terribly, and everyone reacted poorly. Yuri, Camilla, and Dominic complained. Camilla suggested making meatballs, but those turned out equally bad. Camilla realized their taste buds had been shaped by the meals they had as children. When asked about his parents' cooking, Yuri recalled a childhood stew, and Camilla helped Yor recreate it. After tasting the stew, they all agreed it tasted like the dish they had as kids. Now flustered and exhausted, Camilla was caught off guard when Dominic flirted with her. Back at the Forger household, Lloyd was impressed by Bond's training. Yor surprised them with dinner, explaining that she had been taking lessons. The stew turned out well, and she was pleased with their praise, but her second dish caused Lloyd and Anya to collapse from the overpowering flavor. Later, Frankie asks Lloyd for help with Monica, a woman he likes. Lloyd creates a flowchart to guide him, but Frankie struggles to follow it. They practice, but Frankie still stumbled. Frankie drank at a bar that evening, disappointed by his failure, and Lloyd joins him. They discuss the importance of not letting emotions interfere with their work. Becky greeted Anya on their way to school, asking if she had seen Berlin in Love, but Anya, distracted by cartoons, didn't know about it. Becky called Anya childish, which Emil and Ewan overheard and mocked. Anya ignored them and tried to impress Damien by showing him a family photo featuring her huge dog, Bond. However, Damien and his gang walked away without acknowledging her. Becky picked up the photo, admired Lloyd, and took it, ignoring Anya's protests. In art class, Henry Henderson, replacing the sick art teacher, assigned a project on animals. Damien, initially uninterested, decided to put more effort into it after learning that it would affect their secret transcripts. Anya and Damien ended up at the same table, which frustrated Damien. Wanting to impress him, Anya decided to make a model of Bond. When Henry saw Becky's work, a human figure of Lloyd, he questioned her. She argued that humans were animals and Henry agreed, but she could start over since Lloyd was more evolved. Anya showed Damien her paper Bond, but he called it garbage, leaving her upset. Damien worked on a griffin and Anya offered to help, which surprised him. He directed her to make the griffin's hind legs, but she created jet engines, frustrating him. He ordered her to make feathers, but Anya's work was uneven. Damien yelled at her, causing her to cry. Henry scolded Damien for his behavior. Their projects were displayed and Damien won first prize, which was interpreted as a symbol of recovery. Trying to encourage him, Anya told him his parents would be proud, but Damien said he wouldn't show them. Later, Damien calls his butler, Jeeves, about his dog, Max, and learns that Demetrius will return home. Damien decides not to visit, knowing his father won't be there. He resolves to focus on his exams and aims to become an imperial scholar to earn his father's respect. Meanwhile, Henry questioned how Damien's art project won first prize. Sylvia, a handler at Westalian Intelligence Services, was being followed by two agents. She led them on a false trail and then met with Twilight to brief him on Donovan Desmond's partners. Lloyd noticed Sylvia had forgotten to cut the price tag off her coat but didn't mention it. Lloyd helped Sylvia lose her pursuers. Lloyd mentioned Anya's progress at their meeting, but Sylvia expressed doubt. In a flashback, Yor's cooking made Yuri vomit, but he joked that it would help her land a husband. Yor slapped him in response, but the incident only strengthened their sibling bond. Later, an SS lieutenant warned Yuri after an accident, but Yuri reassured him that he was fine. Henry announced that midterms would be in 2 weeks, with the top students earning a Stella Star. Anya scored 13% on her quiz and had to attend remedial lessons. Damien bragged about his 91%, which frustrated Anya. She had planned to read his mind next time, but had extra homework instead. Anya worried about her eclipsing weakness on exam day, which prevented her from cheating. She tried using Bond to see future answers, but she got distracted. The next day, she struggled to study with Lloyd's talkative mind. Yor called Yuri for help, and he met Anya. Anya read his mind, but was overwhelmed by his thoughts of Yor. Yuri helped Anya with her studies, and after some teasing, he softened. Yuri explained to Anya that knowledge is power. She misheard it, but still got excited. However, she still didn't understand grammar, which frustrated Yuri. He stormed out, realizing he needed to study more to become stronger. He briefly returned to eat Yor's snacks, praising them despite throwing up. Anya wondered if studying more would have helped her during the bomb incident, so she decided to study more. When Lloyd returned home, he found out Anya was studying the wrong subject and laughed, thinking Operation Strix might fail. 2 weeks later, the students took their midterms. Afterwards, the professors stored the exams, noting that the first years likely performed poorly. Disguised as Mr. Veman, Twilight infiltrated Eden Academy to change Anya's test answers. He encountered Daybreak, a rival spy who was also attempting to break into the vault. Careless and unprepared, Daybreak almost got caught, but eventually broke a window to access the vault. Twilight helped him with a fake ID and realized they shared the same mission, altering the Desmond brothers' test answers, possibly hired by Donovan Desmond. After failing to enter the passcode, Daybreak lets Twilight open the vault. Daybreak alters Damien and Demetrius Desmond's test scores inside, signing his name for exposure. Shocked by the mistake, Twilight reverts the changes after discovering that Daybreak has sabotaged Desmond's scores. Twilight later checks Anya's tests and is surprised by what he finds. 5 days later, the midterm scores were posted. Damien ranked 11, earning a Stella Star for history with a 94%. Anya, in 213th place, was proud of passing without using tonitrus bolts, though Lloyd was determined to enforce stricter studying. Daybreak, after failing his mission, was fired. Jack Lumen had announced to his secretary that he would step down as president the following month due to the company's financial troubles. George overheard this and was shocked. A month later, while cleaning the school grounds, Anya and Becky chatted about the calm after midterms, but Damien interrupted by flinging dirt with his Desmond-style rolling sweep. He was praised for his cleaning skills and a study group was suggested. Anya, intrigued, showed interest, prompting Becky to tease her about liking him. Anya overheard George's thoughts and discovered that he had planned to get Damien expelled after learning that Daybreak, the spy who altered Damien's test scores, had been hired by one of her classmates. Becky warned Anya about George. To get Damien expelled, George staged an attack by accusing him of smoking and lying to a teacher. Anya defended Damien and the teacher eventually left. Becky teased Anya, thinking it was romantic, but Anya was confused. George explained that his family's company had gone bankrupt, and he had tried to get Damien expelled to distract the Desmonds. Damien offered him juice, and George lamented missing luxuries like the deluxe caviar bowl and Stella Star. Damien, feeling sympathy, let George wear his Stella. Anya reassured him, and touched by his classmates' kindness, George joined the school chorus. George received mementos from Cecile Hall students. At home, Anya told Lloyd and Yor about George. Lloyd was confused about the Desmonds' involvement. George's father saved the company but removed him as president, allowing him to continue attending school. The next day, George returned and Damien asked for juice repayment, while Anya patted his shoulder. Lloyd woke Anya up early, but she had overslept. She rushed to school and Yor, coming to the rescue, brought her forgotten PE uniform. Yor scaled the school walls using Parker, causing rumors to spread. A student screamed upon seeing her, and Yor briefly considered disguising herself as a teacher. While passing the farm, the head cow bowed, causing chaos. While running, Yor was spotted by Lloyd on the rooftops. He initially thought she had followed him, but noticed the bag she was carrying. Yor found Anya and gave her the PE uniform, only to learn that Anya hadn't had PE that day. On her way out, Lloyd caught up and asked what she was doing. Yor explained, feeling like a failure, but Lloyd reassured her and invited her to lunch before heading to work. Henry Henderson asked the students to investigate a career for their social studies project, suggesting methods like interviewing parents, businesses, or even prominent figures. Each student was expected to present their findings on Friday. Becky Blackbell planned to interview her father's company and asked Anya about her choice. Emil Ellman wondered if Damien would interview his father, and Damien replied that he would try to contact him. At home, Anya decided to choose Yor's job for her project. Yor was confused, imagining Anya as an assassin like her. She explained that she had initially become an assassin to support Yuri, but had come to take pride in it, believing it to be a noble calling. Yor was assigned a mission and explained to Anya that she had to kill her target on sight, teaching her about painless deaths. After reading Yor's thoughts, Anya decided to report on Lloyd's job instead, and Lloyd agreed to help. 2 days later, Lloyd took Anya to Berlin General Hospital. He explained that he had chosen the job for intel and connections, which Anya noted. Lloyd changed into a lab coat and explained that he had become a psychiatrist to help people, especially veterans. The staff praised him, and Anya overheard his spy thoughts. Anya asked about the hardest part of Lloyd's job, and he explained that mental wounds were difficult to treat. Anya smirked. Lloyd reflected that balancing work with his mission was the hardest part. Anya wanted to watch Lloyd work, but he refused. Instead, he showed her an empty consultation room, revealing an escape route. When a colleague knocked, Lloyd offered to have Yor pick Anya up, but she decided to wait. Fiona arrived with the mission documents, commenting on Anya's closeness with Lloyd. Lloyd sighed, admitting that Anya frustrated him, surprising Fiona. Anya found a hidden lever that led to a secret passage and overheard a meeting about paranormal perception. She made a noise which caused the men to think it was a ghost. After escaping, she returned just in time for Lloyd. Lloyd analyzed her chaotic sand table, mistaking it for stress. Anya tried to explain but got embarrassed. Lloyd offered to help with her report and suggested buying Spy Wars. Anya panicked when he picked up her notebook, but since her writing was illegible, she decided to handle it herself. Yor asked about Lloyd's therapy methods at home, and Lloyd hurriedly clarified. Anya presented her report on Friday, shocking Henry by mixing Lloyd's job as a psychiatrist with his spy work. Later, Lloyd used his skills to talk his way out of trouble at school. Anya created a secret code, but Lloyd pointed out that no one would understand it due to her handwriting. Anya had Yor's help and then gave copies to Bond, the neighbors, and Frankie. At school, Becky got upset and Damien threw his copy away. That night, Anya dreamed of someone cracking the code. Meanwhile, Frankie, thinking it was a love letter, appeared early in a suit, waiting for the mystery woman. Anya slept through her alarm and Bond shut it off. Sylvia assigned Fiona to Twilight's upcoming mission at Wise Safe House G, but warned her not to interfere with Operation Strix. Fiona offered to step in as Lloyd's wife, but Sylvia rejected the idea, citing the risk of suspicion. Wise agents avoided Fiona in the hallway, thinking she was after Lloyd's operation. Fiona arrived at the forger's apartment to return a magnifying glass Anya had left at the hospital. Assuming Yor saw her as a rival, Fiona planned to remove her from the family, but struggled to find a way in, as Yor was nervous about guests. Fiona pressured Yor about raising Anya, but Yor insisted she enjoyed it. Fiona claimed that Lloyd often complained about Yor, but was interrupted when Lloyd, Anya, and Bond returned. Hearing their discussion about Operation Strix, Anya realized Fiona was a spy. Fiona criticized Yor for walking Bond and suggested that Lloyd's skills were being wasted. Anya read Fiona's mind and learned she was in love with Lloyd, imagining herself replacing Yor as his wife. Feeling insecure, Yor prepared drinks while fearing that Lloyd might prefer Fiona. When she served Lloyd coffee with milk, Fiona was surprised, unsure of Lloyd's valid preferences, and started doubting herself. Anya spilled her cocoa and Yor quickly cleaned it up. Fiona criticized Yor for not training Anya to be stronger, scaring Anya, who immediately decided that Fiona could never be her mother. Anya clung to Yor, calling her the best mother. Touched by this, Yor promised to try harder. Lloyd reassured her, making her tear up. Noticing Lloyd's genuine smile, Fiona recalled her training. She then claimed she had forgotten to buy potatoes and prepared to leave. Lloyd walked her to the station, and Fiona, hiding her emotions, resolved to prove herself as Lloyd's ideal wife. In the post-credits scene, Anya and Bond watched Bear Squad. When Lloyd called her to bed, Anya protested but eventually went. The following day, she discovered her penguin toy torn apart with bite marks, and Bond looked guilty. After Yor accidentally made the penguin worse, Lloyd offered to buy a new one, but Anya insisted on keeping the damaged one. Lloyd repaired it, and Bond offered her peanuts as an apology. Anya forgave him, and they made peace. Lloyd humorously wished real-world conflicts could be solved so easily. At Berlin General Hospital, Fiona reflected on how Lloyd's family life had weakened him as a spy. Though the thought pained her, she still longed for him and remained determined to replace Yor. Fiona briefed Lloyd on their mission to acquire Lady in the Sun from art collector Cavi Campbell. Campbell. The painting, once owned by Colonel Zacharias, was believed to hold a dossier containing secrets that could reignite the war. However, the painting was hidden beneath Campbell's heavily secured mansion. Fiona assured Lloyd that she had a plan. They entered an underground tennis tournament to gain access where the winner could choose an item from Campbell's collection. Disguised as Twain and Afalia Funny, they faced former tennis champions Walson and Bobble. Fiona saw this as an opportunity to showcase her skills and prove her value in Operation Strix. Their opponents, confident in their victory, boasted about an easy win. Lloyd wished them a good game, and they smugly responded that it would be a slaughter. Lloyd swiftly won the first game with a service ace, leaving Walson and Bobble stunned. They shifted their focus to Fiona, hoping to exploit a weakness. However, she responded with a powerful backhand slice, dominating the rest of the match and single-handedly defeating them. Meanwhile, Campbell and his associates discussed the upcoming match against the enhanced Bollock brothers, who had been given the muscle-boosting drug Osoar. Lloyd inquired about the risks, but Fiona reassured him that they only needed to do their best. At the same time, Anya and Bond played tennis with Yor. Yor briefly wondered if Fiona was with Lloyd and momentarily considered getting rid of her, but quickly dismissed the thought. Anya reassured Yor that Lloyd would win, and they cheered him on together. Back at the tournament, Fiona warned Lloyd about the ruthless competition, notably the steroid-enhanced Bollock brothers. When the brothers taunted Lloyd, Fiona retaliated by humiliating them completely in front of the crowd. Though the spectators were impressed, Cavi remained doubtful. Lloyd and Fiona advanced to the finals, where they would face Cavi's children, Carol and Kim, highly trained players likely to cheat. Fiona remained confident, but Lloyd noticed her injuries and cautioned her to stay composed. As they prepared for the match, the room suddenly filled with gas meant to weaken them. Communicating through Morse code, they strategized to minimize their exposure. The Funnies struggled in the finals against the Campbell twins, who used modified rackets to gain an early advantage. Despite the crowd's support, the match seemed rigged in Cavi's favor, and he placed heavy bets on his children's victory. However, Lloyd and Fiona regained strength in the second set and took the lead. Sensing danger, Carol discreetly signaled a man on the sidelines who adjusted a control panel. In the next game, Fiona's foot suddenly sank into a tile, causing her to miss the shot. Realizing the entire court had been rigged with these traps, they braced themselves for more obstacles. Undeterred, Lloyd vowed not to lose to such cheap tricks, reigniting Fiona's determination. She admired him, thinking that this was the Twilight she loved. Resolving to fight by his side, she steeled herself and, in her thoughts, declared that they would crush their opponents together. A tile sank, but Lloyd scored. Fiona intercepted and scored. Carol changed plans, manipulating the net. Lloyd and Fiona adapted. The Campbells attempted tricks, wind, stink spray. These annoyed them, but the Funnies won the set. Lloyd praised Fiona. She wanted to prolong the match, but refrained. He noticed her intense focus. The Campbells then called in the big guns. As the game resumed, Lloyd saw Carol signaling and spotted a sniper. Reacting instantly, he grabbed Fiona, taking the bullet himself. Everyone was shocked. Fiona asked if Lloyd was okay. He showed her the rubber bullet and revealed the sniper's location. She apologized, but Lloyd revealed his vest, assuring her he was unharmed. Carol was amazed. Fiona wanted to penalize the staff, but Lloyd doubted it would happen since they still needed the painting. He suggested they could bait more shots. Claiming to have a hangover, he continued the match. Lloyd served, dodging his shot mid-serve. The sniper called for court interference, but their tricks failed. The ball boys fired at Lloyd, but he deflected their shots. He remarked on their predictability and resolved to finish the match. Cavi yelled at his children. Lloyd parried both a ball and a bullet, causing the bullet to hit Carol instead. Carol clutched his stomach, claiming cramps. The commentator described it as a battle of will. Lloyd then slammed the ball, securing victory. Cavi stood in stunned silence. Carol's disappointment was met with Lloyd's encouragement. Carol vowed to train harder. Fiona admired Lloyd while Kim scoffed. Cavi, moved by his son's determination, was suddenly interrupted by a whispered message. Something Lloyd noted. Cavi refused to hand over Lady in the Sun, citing circumstances. Lloyd and Fiona, sensing SSS involvement, requested to see the rest of the collection. In a private room, Fiona spotted the painting. Leaving her bag behind, she asked for a recommendation. Meanwhile, Cavi's secretary prepared the painting for the SSS. As they departed, Lloyd, now revealed as Fiona's escort, expressed exhaustion from tennis. Fiona showed him a selection of pots and rings that Cavi had suggested for Handler. On the drive home, Lloyd revealed they had swapped the painting with a forgery, hiding the original in Fiona's bag. The SSS would search for the fake while they deciphered the real code and headed to Ecchi later. Fiona scoffed at Yor's slice ball. In response, Yor swung at supersonic speed, breaking Fiona's racket. Fiona conceded, promising a rematch before leaving determined. Yor wondered if she had upset Fiona. Lloyd called Fiona passionate. Anya found her energetic. Lloyd dismissed any lasting impact on Yor, declaring victory. Yor walked home, downcast. Lloyd ordered delivery. The next day, Lloyd met Sylvia. She informed him that Fiona was training. Handing him the Zacharias dossier, she briefed him on its contents. Lloyd soon discovered that Zacharias' supposed hidden threat was merely a collection of starlit photos, concealed to avoid conflict with his wife. Stunned, Lloyd learned that the dossier rumors had stemmed from Zacharias' pre-war musical performance for Western diplomats. Sworn to secrecy, the officials had kept it hidden from Zacharias' wife, allowing the story to evolve into a much grander tale over time. Realizing that all their efforts had been for nothing more than postcards, Lloyd saw a deeper mystery. However, Sylvia confirmed confirmed no war-triggering bombshell, calling it a victory. Seeing a photo of Zachary's family, Lloyd reflected on the lies told in pursuit of peace. He bought an apple tart and caramel nut cake for Yuri and Anya. Anya played with Bond at home, while Yuri sat in a daze. Elsewhere, Fiona trained for a rematch, swinging a weighted stick under the watchful eyes of wildlife. Yuri, dazed, walked home, telling concerned neighbors that she had been kicked to the curb and blamed tennis. They assumed Lloyd was cheating and urged her to report it to the SSS. Lloyd overheard this and feared that Yuri might suspect Fiona, which would pose a risk to his mission if Yuri found out. At home, Anya and Bond played with Frankie. Lloyd, needing to clear up the misunderstanding with Fiona in front of Yuri, decided to leave Anya and Bond with Frankie at the park. Lloyd took Yuri to a bar to toast her hard work. Yuri feared that Lloyd preferred Fiona, which led to an emotional outburst. Drunk, she asked Lloyd if he loved Fiona. Lloyd denied it, but Yuri, feeling inadequate, believed he was bored with her. Lloyd attempted a honey trap, but Yuri kicked him away, misinterpreting his gesture as rejection. Gore apologized and Lloyd lost consciousness. When he woke, he realized they had been ejected from the bar and were now in the park. Yuri had sung him a lullaby and Lloyd blamed his sloppiness for the situation. Gore apologized again, citing her brute strength as the reason Lloyd might be moving on. Lloyd shared a memory of his strong mother who had provided security during wartime. He compared this to Yuri's role in Anya's happiness, acknowledging her strength and noting that she offered the same security as the agents working to rebuild the world. Yuri doubted her abilities as a mother, but Lloyd reassured her and proposed that they stay a family. Yuri agreed. Anya waited at home, suspecting her parents were shacking up. Lloyd and Yuri arrived home with Lloyd's chin swollen and Yuri feeling embarrassed. Anya called him Chin Monster. Yuri reflected on her unexpected family bond. The next day, Yuri forgot the night's events and Lloyd had to repeat the story to her. Damien and his friends discussed the Imperial Scholars. Anya, aiming for the position as part of Operation Strix, had failed academically and tried to befriend Damien. However, Damien and his friends told her to leave. Anya and Becky vented their frustrations. Thinking about love, Becky decided to help Anya win Damien over by suggesting a makeover. Martha drove Becky and Anya, who lamented not seeing Lloyd. Anya surprised Martha by showing her the cash Lloyd had given her. At a store, Becky reserved a spot for Anya to find an outfit that would impress Damien. After trying on several clothes, Becky decided to buy everything herself, unsure of Damien's taste. At a cafe, Martha protested the purchases and Anya bought nothing. Touched by Anya's friendship, Becky bought matching sheep keychains for them. They forgot their original goal and headed home. As the girls slept, Martha reflected on Becky's growth. Later, Becky mentioned Anya in a positive light. Lloyd was shocked by the price of the keychain. Anya and Becky showed off their keychains at school the next day, catching Damien off guard. The semi-annual Imperial Scholars Mixer at Eden Academy, attended by top students, parents, and alumni, had begun tightening security. Disguised as a professor, Twilight observed the event, noting how difficult it was to infiltrate and referencing past agent failures. The mixer occurred at the Tower of Wisdom, with multiple entrances and strict security. Twilight dismissed using force as it was more suited for assassination, which did not align with Operation Strix's goal of making contact. He reached out to Desmond as Lloyd Forger, acknowledging the limited outside opportunities but resolving to explore them. After class, Cecile Hall's teacher reminded the students to leave for the mixer. Students discussed the attendees and one girl asked Damien if his father would attend. Damien recalled asking Demetrius to message Donovan, telling him to meet at Library 2's courtyard after the mixer. Demetrius agreed but warned Damien not to expect much. Some girls approached to meet Donovan, but Damien angrily dismissed them and left. Anya, reading his thoughts, understood his plan. Realizing her previous attempt had failed, she followed Damien and confronted Donovan. The boys confronted Anya, with Ewan assuming she was chasing Damien to gain favor with Donovan. Damien, enraged, called Anya a stalker and ran off. Anya considered punching him, but was reminded by Becky that doing so could risk expulsion. Anya overheard Lloyd's frustration over Plan B failing as he followed Damien. Anya followed Lloyd, learning of Damien's plan involving Donovan. The boys checked out the mixer in awe. Emil noted Donovan's VIP status, which froze Damien. He canceled his plan, citing Donovan's importance, but Anya stopped him. Anya taunted Damien, revealing her score, empathizing with him, and declaring her courage. Damien agreed and Lloyd praised her. In the courtyard, Becky misread Anya's intentions. Anya fell asleep and was sent to the car. Lloyd showed her the keychain. Lloyd asked about the keychain. Damien gave him a replica. Lloyd apologized and Donovan arrived, introducing himself. Wise refused to provide backup, citing the danger. Lloyd aimed to learn more about Donovan and extract his plans. Donovan dismissed the gift, calling it a spat, and Lloyd withdrew. Damien sought affection from Donovan, who sighed. Lloyd watched quietly. Damien apologized, but Donovan said understanding was impossible. Lloyd wondered if this dynamic was what drove Donovan. He insisted on meeting halfway and acknowledged Anya's actions, seeking understanding. Lloyd comforted Damien, mentioning his report and praising his efforts. Lloyd mentioned a platform and suggested seminars, but Damien stopped him. Donovan ended the conversation, remembering Lloyd's presence. Lloyd asked Damien not to tell Anya, explaining that she was awkward but likely didn't hate him and hoped they could get along. Damien shyly agreed, then yelled at Lloyd to leave. Lloyd complied. He and Donovan exchanged glares. Donovan then asked Damien what he wanted. Nervous, Damien said nothing. After recalling Lloyd's dialogue advice, Damien suddenly shouted about his his Stella star, test score, and art prize. Donovan congratulated him, saying he came on a whim and told Damien to uphold the family name. Damien agreed and his friends cheered. Watching from afar, Twilight noted Donovan's distance and concluded that closeness was key for Plan B. He decided against hailing Donovan and instead planned to analyze the gathered intelligence. He saw Damien and his friends celebrating before leaving. Lloyd returned home to Yor and a sleeping Anya who Becky and Martha had delivered. Anya muttered about fighting the superboss. Lloyd smiled as he noted her carefree babbling.